Hello, everyone. Are we live yet?
Should be, yes.
Um, I'm looking about and I'm like,
You
I'm
can
just going to
squeeze
turn this
Can
camera
scooch over.
there,
There you go.
like that.
You can scoot over to me a little more.
So I'll move the camera back in a minute. So good morning, everyone. Are we live? We are. So good morning, everyone. Welcome to The Spirit World Sees All. Yes, I've got people on my sofa. Can you see that I have people on my sofa? I don't even know them. They are strangers. They came knocking on my door and, can we come in? And I said, oh, well, all right then. And here they are. So we have Sharon, see,
Hello.
and we have Joe.
Hi.
Snuggle up in there, Joe. I'm going to move the camera so we can see the three of them.
I can see
And
the three of you good.
excuse me.
I can see that you guys good.
Oh, good.
Okay.
Go. So good. So we're good to go then. So and of course, before we go any further, I'd like to say good morning to Gregor, who is to my right side. Cachorro has nipped off the sofa and he doesn't like sharing with two strangers he doesn't know. And of course we have our Michelle. Are you sitting on the sofa at the moment, or
For the moment.
What are you doing? She'll be on the floor any minute now.
Mhm.
And say good morning, Michelle.
Good morning.
And so say good morning, Sharon.
Good morning.
And
So,
Joe.
good morning.
Okay. So you can see we've got a house full of people. I don't know what we're going to do today. I don't know what we're going to be talking about today. But before we go any further, and while we're waiting for all of your questions, and by the way, if you do not know or you want to chat but you do not know how to chat, please look on the bottom. I do believe it's the bottom right hand corner of your screen and you'll see the word chat. Just click on that word chat and that'll take you right to our chat room, and then you can do whatever it is you want to do. You say what you like, be polite please. We'll answer every question that comes our way as best we can. And when I say we, I mean Gregor and I, of course. But all right, so now I sort of know Sharon because you are you a groupie? Have you
Well,
become a groupie?
I have. I'm one of your semi-regulars, almost every week. So, I've seen just about everybody that asks questions.
And the people who are regular on the show will recognise you, won't they? Because
Yes, they will.
you do chat with us fairly often, and you do
Yes.
join in fairly often, right?
And I recognize some of the names like Dean and Kitty. I recognize their names.
Right.
Kitty just said good morning.
Good morning.
All right. So let me ask you then, how did you come to know about me?
Well, I read The Eagle and the Rose pretty much when it first came out in the 1990s. And
Keep talking.
it
Just
resonated with me
slide.
very deeply because in my life I've had paranormal experiences of my own. And at that time, the internet was still fairly new. There weren't many people talking about it. So to find somebody that spoke the same language that I could understand, and both of us have read the book and said, oh, it validates our experiences.
Great. So then you found, and then what about you, Joanne?
When I found your book in 2000, I was just
The book,
Eagle and the Rose.
Neil and Rose. Okay.
I was I felt every word you were saying, everything you were talking about. I felt it. I felt that I was right there with you in that book. I mean, it was just so amazing. I felt your feelings, and it was just amazing to me. And I was like, oh my gosh, I found someone that really understands something that I'm going through and what you went through, and
Right.
it was just amazing to me.
Well, the book, The Eagle and the Rose, for those of you who are new to this and new to me, The Eagle and the Rose was published in, 1996, actually. 1996, on my birthday, for those of you who don't know my birthday and who
That's
would
nice.
wish to send me cards, or as Maggie, I hope Maggie's watching this morning, as Maggie sent me yesterday some dark chocolate cherries, liquid cherries in dark chocolate. They are, without a doubt, one of my most favourites. The darker the chocolate, the better. Anyway, my birthday is May 19th. So The Eagle and the Rose was published in 1996. So that's 24 years ago. Golly, my goodness, 24 years ago this coming May.
Wow.
I know, can you imagine that? And it became a New York Times bestseller. And of course, since then, I've written quite a few other books which are also have become bestsellers. So I've been really, really fortunate. But that particular book has been probably the most mentioned, the book that has moved people the most, that has inspired people the most, because, well, first of all, it is a true story, but when I write, when I talk about the work that I do and how I do it and so on, I really don't hold anything back. I like to share, because I think that even when you're sharing your most personal stuff, which of course in The Eagle and the Rose, it was very, very personal. Although I did have to hold back a massive amount, because there's only so much you can put in a book, but I was not afraid to talk about a lot of the stuff that I went through. And I think because I felt that there's so many other people out there who have gone through the same or similar to me, it would resonate with them,
Right.
which is actually what you're saying,
Yes.
isn't it?
Yes.
And what we try to do in our shows is to, obviously people can write in, they can ask questions. I try to be as clear and as honest in my answers as I possibly can. So let's, do we have anyone?
We have a couple emailed questions.
Okay, so why don't we, sorry, I'm sort of wriggling my back here. Why don't, no, sit still, you're good. Why don't we go to the, I'm going to swivel the camera around just a second here to me. Why don't we go to the email questions and then go from there? I feel as
Okay.
if I'm sort of coming undone here. I don't know. I think it's just sort of like, anyway, yeah.
Margaretta emailed.
Yes,
and
good morning,
she
Margaretta.
said, "Good morning. I have two quick questions. One is, when partners who have shared a long time love for one another are separated by death, is it possible to reunite once the surviving person dies? And can they enjoy the same relationship in the afterlife?"
Well, I think we've got someone on the sofa who would like to ask that same question. Would you?
Well, I'm a widow, and actually my husband has come to me in my dreams many times. I do know that he's still around me, and I'm sure he's still around you as well, that your husband, your partner.
Oh, you can't answer her. You can
Oh.
you can talk to me, but
Okay.
I don't know you. I
Okay.
don't know what you're going to say to my people.
Okay,
I
well,
have to
I'm,
be very protective of them.
yes, of course.
But you do believe that her husband is with her,
Oh,
right?
yes, I
But
do
here's
believe
the
that.
question, I think, most important question part of the question that she asked is that when you pass, when we pass, will we be with our loved ones? Will she specifically be with her husband? Is that what she's asking, Michelle? I think that's what she's asking,
That's what
right?
I got out of it, yeah.
So,
Will they have the same
and I'm
love?
going to take this a step further, because I know that there are many of you out there listening who actually maybe have been married 2, perhaps even 3 times. What happens to all of those husbands then? Which one do you go to? I can only say that I did once have a lady who came to see me who'd lost 2 husbands, and she was very concerned because she loved them both dearly, and she was worried as to, how that would work. And it turned out that both her husbands, since departed, had become really good friends, and so when it was her time to go, they assured her that they would both be waiting for her.
That's lovely.
When we go into the spirit world, we do choose. We choose to to be with who we want to be with. We choose what it is that we would like to do and how we would like to continue our growth and our development. So for anyone out there who had a husband who you don't want to be with, or you rather not be around, but trust me, I have one of those. There's no way that I am going to, I mean, he has his own life, I'm sure, and he has his own wonderful people, and I know he's been married again, so I don't know whether it was a happy marriage or not, but I wish him well with all of that, but not for me. I'm not sorry, but I have other fish to fry, and so please don't think that, oh gosh, if you're married to someone, that's it, and then now you have to be reunited in the spirit world if you don't want to be. So you don't have to be with anyone you don't want to be with, but it is a two-way street, my darling, because you might love we might love our husbands, they might not love us as much as they love someone else. Who knows what goes on? So it's a choice. The choice is two-way. But if you have a loving relationship, and you've had a loving relationship with your husband or wife, the chances are that when you both are cross over, you will be together, you'll share time together, and you'll maybe even continue with that same relationship. So it's a complicated issue, isn't it? Relationships are complicated, aren't they?
It does bring up a question, though.
Go ahead.
What if you're on the other side? Can you form a relationship with someone that you
Oh.
did not know in the physical world?
You can.
Wow.
You can. Things happen. We don't know. We don't know all of it. But here's the thing. I think relationships are, first and foremost, good relationships are about trust, aren't they? So if you have a relationship and you trust that person and they trust you, the chances are that you're going to be together. So I don't want anyone out there worrying about, did my husband meet someone else because I wasn't around? Because the answer, generally speaking, will be no. If he loves you, the end. And he'll be waiting for you. Let's go to, it's getting very complicated. Let's go to our next question, shall we?
Okay, the next one is from Maggie. It says, a question to ask Ray Eagle.
Hi Maggie, and before we go any further, darling, thank you for the chocolates. Woohoo! Yay! Go ahead.
She said, a question to ask Ray Eagle. My Megan, my mom and dad, and everyone. My daughter Heather on Friday is going to an interview for a spot in a university in their Doctor of Medicine Physical Therapy program. Will she get in? I've been talking to God, Jesus, my Megan, my mom, the world's greatest nurse, healer, and my dad, plus everyone else in heaven to help get her into the program. She has a gift and has jumped over many hurdles of her learning challenge and cares about people and would make a wonderful doctor of physical therapy. She says, I know she will get in, and don't say you already know, because I'll fall over and Greg will shake his head at me. It's just sometimes I need to know that the troops have rolled out all the specials.
You just need a little bit of reassurance, don't you, Maggie? So this is what we can do for you. I can sort of talk to Grey Eagle. He's telling me anyway, he's mustered the troops. The troops are there for you, as of course they always are for all of us. When we talk about the troops, we're talking about our loved ones in the spirit world, our family, and so on and so forth. However, we do not always see the further picture, and we can be so desperate and so concerned about doing one thing, we don't see what happens or what is round the corner for us that might be even better. So be careful to put all of your eggs in one basket, to be open-minded. What is meant to be, I know this is not going to please you at all, but I'm still going to enjoy the chocolates anyway. But please, do understand that what is meant to be is meant to be. Now, I am told, actually, that your daughter does have healing hands, and I am told that those healing hands will be put to very good use, because not only does she have the ability to heal, she also has the mindset and the determination to be successful in what it is that she wants to do. So the two going hand in hand is going to give her exactly what she wants, but understand this. When people come to see me for consultations, for instance, or when you go, whatever it is, you've got your mind set on, you go to a circus and you want to see something and it doesn't happen, or you go to a doctor and you want them to tell you one thing and he tells you another thing, whatever it is, it isn't what we want that always counts. It's what we need. And I say to people when they come to see me, you may not get what you want, but you always get what you need. And you must understand, you know, with these things and with your daughter, she will get exactly what it is that she needs. And if she gets into this program, it is because it's what she needs. If she does not get into this program, it means that there's a better one around the corner. So I'm not being very helpful to you. This is a question of trust, of living your faith. Now, it's easy to have faith. I go into a hall full of people, there might be several thousand people, and I'll say to them, how many of you have faith? And I'm going to say at least 95% or maybe even 99% of those people will put their hands up. Having faith and living your faith are two very, very different things. It is not easy to live your faith by any means. Living your faith means putting your fate in God's hands, because sometimes you simply cannot, you don't have any control anyway. Put your fate in God's hands. Whatever you think is right for me, whatever you think is right for my daughter, and I will be asking for your darling girl, Heather is her name, I think. I'm going to be asking for her whatever it is that she needs and whatever it is that's best for her. So I'm not asking for her to get into this particular college. I'm asking whatever it is that is right for her and that is best for her. When we give healing, for instance, and I know so many of us, we might have a friend who has a tumour, or we might have a friend who's crippled with arthritis, and we'll say, dear God, please get rid of the tumour. Please, God, get rid of the arthritis, whatever it is, whatever that is. And we try to focus on those particular issues so that God, you know, we're trying to get God to answer our prayers. But a healer, a good healer will know you never ever say, please don't let them die, please get rid of this or this, because we don't know. God knows what is best for us. So as a healer, I will say to God, dear God, please allow me to be a part of the healing process, to give this person whatever it is you feel they need, which is best for them. There you have it, Maggie. That's what I'm going to do for you. Next question. Do you have any comments or anything you need to say? I'm going to put the camera on Joanne. I don't want to leave you out of this, Joanne. Got any?
No, I found it fascinating what you were saying, and it's so true. You have to put your faith in God and let whatever, you can't control it.
No.
You know?
She's often said to me, you know, I'm just going to give this to God and let it work itself out.
Let go and let
Let
God.
Yes,
Let
that's
go,
it.
let
God.
God. Let go
Many
and
times.
let God. Yes,
Yes.
that's the thing to do. It's very hard though to do that, and so I'm
It
going
is
to.
very
I'm
hard.
sorry to be swizzing this camera around everybody, but there we are. But it's that is what is called living your faith. Don't get worked up. Don't get too anxious about things. It's not going to do any good anyway, and it certainly won't change the process. So Maggie,
It's meant
just
to be.
calm down a little bit, darling. Bring yourself down a little bit and trust in the process, because whatever is right for Heather is what will happen for Heather. There. Next question.
Dean says, how about some stories today? Maybe what heaven is like for different people from
You
the
are
spirit world.
so naughty, dear.
And yes, I know each person sees things differently, but how about a few perspectives?
What does he mean by how about a few perspectives? What does that mean?
Because each person in the spirit world will see their heaven as a different thing, right? They have their own perspective of it.
Well, okay, I'll do it this way, Dean. All right. Let's imagine that the phone rings and I pick it up and say hello, and somebody on the other end says, hi, I'm from Mars. I'm a Martian. I'm from Mars. And I'm really interested about your world. I'm really interested about the Earth that you live in. Can you tell me about it? Well, where do you begin? Because every single one of us would have a different perspective. Every one of us might live in a different place. if I were to describe Florida, I would then have to say to this nice Martian who's asking me these questions, however, there are places that don't have beaches, they have mountains. There are places that don't have beaches or mountains. Because the world is an enormous place. And so when we talk about the spirit world and when we talk about people's experiences of the spirit world, it's very, very much the same as if you might as well be a Martian, Dean, asking, what is it like up there? Because it's different for every single person. However, I will take your comments, and maybe today, maybe another time. I'm tempted to think it might be another time. I can certainly give you a couple of perspectives from people in the spirit world. The danger, though, is this. If I give you a couple of perspectives from people in the spirit world, I don't want everyone thinking, oh, well, that must be what it's like for everybody, because it isn't what it's like for... it isn't... Sorry, I'm getting a little bit of information here. This is very interesting. Didn't expect this. So, we have now, we have, of course, myself and Grey Eagle, that's two of us, and we have these two lovely ladies, which makes four of us. We have Michelle sitting across from us, but now we have another person who is crowding the sofa between us here. I have no idea who this is. I'm not necessarily telling the entire truth when I say that. But anyway, I have this lovely man who's sitting between us. He's poking his head right over my shoulder, sitting between us. And he would like to tell us what life in the spirit world is like for him. So, but please understand, when I do this, when I give his words, it's not like this for everyone. Everyone has their own experience and their own perspective. So, for some reason or another, I can hear you. I've got to put my arms around this lady. I've got to give her a lovely cuddle. I've no idea why, but I've got to do this for you. And I have a gentleman who's standing between the two of us who, if I say he went suddenly and quickly, that wouldn't exactly be the truth, because he did have quite a long illness. Trouble with his breathing and all the rest of it, and his pointing here to his chest, and you know who this is just as well. See, I was not actually lying when I said I don't know who it is. I sort of have an inkling that this, I'm talking to your husband here. You know that, don't you?
Yes, I do.
But at the end, he tells me it was quite sudden, quite quick at the end. It was sort of, 1 minute you were dealing with the illness, you were dealing with all of that stuff that was going on, and it was a big struggle. And then, then before you know it, you turn around and he's not there anymore. He's gone.
Yes.
So, you didn't expect this, did you? I certainly didn't expect this. I mean, why am I doing this anyway? But anyway, here he is. He's laughing at me. Nice smile. It's a lovely sense of humour. Keeps poking me in the arm as we're talking, because he's not going to be left out of the sofa. No. He wants you girls to know that he's sitting on the sofa with us today.
I believe
it. Now he's here because it was just his way of getting in. That's what it was. But I would like to hear his perspective on what it is like in the spirit world, and he tells me that it really is quite beautiful. It's warm. He tells me the air is so clear he can breathe again. Now you must understand, he obviously had trouble with his breathing and couldn't catch his breath and was struggling with his breathing. So he tells me that the air is so clear and so clean, and everything is so bright. The colours are incredibly beautiful. And I'm cutting him off now, because we don't want this whole show to be about you.
Yes.
Sharon, sorry.
No, I understand.
Anyway, so here he is, and he's and he's letting himself be known. And so, Dean, there you have one person's perspective. He's right here, right, with you two girls. You must know him, because
I do. I love him very much.
He's saying hi to you too.
Yes.
So anyway, so there is one perspective for you, and just before we go any further, yes, the lights are flickering.
Yes.
don't do that. It's not nice to muck about with my when I go into TV studios, radio studios, wherever it is I go, you can guarantee they have glitches. And they look at me. All the technicians look at me and say, "What are they doing up there? What are they trying to tell us?"
That's his sense of humor too,
So,
to do that.
yeah, so he's flashing lights at us. Anyway, so there he is. He's given us his perspective, tiny little bit of his perspective. And how do you feel? You all right?
I am.
Then
I'm
he
very good.
just would like to say that he loves you both very much, but
Yes.
he's
She was very dear to him as
Oh, yeah.
well.
okay. So moving on. See what you did, Dean? Look what you created here. I think actually without Dean, he would have, one way or another, we would have popped his head in.
Yeah.
He still is here. I do have to just say to you, he's still here. He's going to be staying here for the rest of the show. So if he interferes, I'm going to shut him down.
Oh yes, because he was a talker.
He is a talker,
It's a
not
Gemini.
was.
It's a Gemini. He likes to talk.
It's not was a talker. He is a talker. Okay, Michelle.
Kitty made it funny.
Hi, Kitty.
She says, "Can I form a relationship in heaven with Cary Grant?" LOL.
Ooh,
Not
nice.
before I do.
You gotta stand in line.
That's all we've got right now.
That's it.
That's
No,
it right now. Everybody is just, I think everybody's taken back.
Everybody, are you a little bit stunned, everyone? Now, come on, moving along here. So, and please, I did say, I don't know, you've not been here before, have you? You've not
No.
spoken to me before. You've not had a consult with me
No.
before or anything
No.
like that. They were literally strangers knocking, trying to get in. And we're still debating as to whether they can stay or not. We are going to be talking more to Sharon and Joe later in our Everything is Attitude show. I think I can safely say that. Sharon is going to talk to us. The topic on our Everything is Attitude show is going to be about, the unexpected and when our life changes and, what happens when life throws us a curveball and, how we can adjust our attitude to deal with things that happen to us, sort of 1 minute we're living one life and the next thing we know we're living another life. And I think, Joe, you can speak to that as well. Sort of, because I just discovered, Joe, you live in Florida. She just lives down the road from me. So we've never met. So, but you must have turned your life upside down to come here and move here, and it's a big thing to come to a different state. Anyway, so we're going to be talking to Sharon and Joe on our Everything Is Attitude show. I haven't told Al yet, but hey, he'll catch up. He'll be with us. He'll be willing to catch up. That is at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tonight, and then of course we have our class at 9. So over to Michelle. Over to you, my love.
Chris is on and she says that
Hi, Chris.
we like to hear from all your visitors. And Destiny is on and she's
Destiny. Hi, Destiny.
She says that she can remember being on the other side. I'm writing on that.
All right. So do you remember actually, is it that you had an experience of crossing over to the other side, or can you remember the time prior to your birth here? We were just curious about that, my love, and if you'd like to, just let us know what it is. Okay, keep coming, Michelle.
All right.
And just to remind people, if you're not interacting with me, we're going to close, because we're all going out to lunch later, aren't we? And if we go earlier, it'll be your fault. All of you out there, now come on, participate with us here.
Destiny said it's a little bit of all of the above.
All right then. Well, great. I don't know what to say to that, but thank you for letting us know. Keep going.
Leah is on.
Leah, good morning.
And she says, "Hello, Rosemary, Michelle, and the ladies. Nice to meet you.
Hi.
I've said it before. I have also read the book, The Eagle and the Rose, and I'm still reading it. I certainly had it for more than 20 years.
Aw.
What I can't find out is where or from whom I got it or borrowed it. and that makes me very curious. When I find out, I will definitely share it with you.
You mean you stole someone else's book, is what you're saying? Somebody loaned it to you and you didn't return it. Now, you just said that to me earlier
I
on,
did,
right?
I did.
Joanne said,
I left
you
my
know,
book out.
I lost my Eagle and the Rose, so she was delighted when I gave her one when
Yes.
she came through.
You sure
the
she
door.
doesn't know you and it's your book?
yeah, exactly. But I do have to say that The Eagle and the Rose, more than any of the other books that I've written, that it gets passed around. It's been buried with people. At least three off the top of my head that I can think of. Their families very sweetly, very nicely called and asked, would I mind if they buried their one particular boy? Would I mind if they buried their son with the Eagle and the Rose, because it so inspired him during his last days. This boy died of AIDS, but there are others too, and you know, I'm honoured, really, very humbled by the fact that that so many people have been so affected by that book. And I have to tell you, it was not an easy story to tell. The only way that I could actually, when I first wrote The Eagle and the Rose, when I first wrote this book, I actually wrote other people's stories, as seen through me, people who came for consultations and so on. And the book was it was a whole book filled with other people's stories. My editor, a wonderful, lovely woman, Joanne Davis, who helped me tremendously with the book and to help me to format the book. She said to me, well, it's all very well listening to other people's stories, but people will want to know about you. So I wrote about the healing and I wrote all about that stuff and so on. And I know exactly what she meant, but I tried to avoid it until she looked me in the eye one day and she said, no, 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 no. She said, they really, really need to know about you. And so I tried to write my story. It was extremely difficult. I sort of did a half-hearted job, and I gave it to my sister to read. She brought it back to my house and she threw it at me, literally threw it at me. And she said, here, she said, if you can't write the truth, don't write anything at all. And it wasn't that I was lying, I was just missing out big chunks of stuff in the story, because it's very hard when you've had a tough situation. It's very hard to write about it. And the only way that I found that I could actually write my own story was in the third person, which eventually I did. But boy, did I cry through the writing of that story. I cried and I cried, and the pages were wet with my tears, and on and on and on. But it has worked, and it has been an inspiration for so many people, which I'm very, very grateful and very, very humbled that I've been able to affect people in that way. Let's have another question. I'm just rabbiting on, giving people time to...
Twiggy wants to know how your newest book is coming.
Hi, Twiggy. Which would that be?
I believe it's Grey Eagle Speaks.
Yes, I know.
It's
I
the
know.
one we're working on now.
Well, you know, here's the thing. We've been working this week on getting all of the meditation CDs and the books on tape. We've been working on getting them onto YouTube or...
No, we're going to get them onto Amazon, Google Play, and iTunes.
Yes, there. So there we are. So that's what we're trying to do. And we've been doing that. We've been working on that this week. I have no clue what we're doing. What's the matter with you?
Who's that lady?
I don't know. What lady?
The lady that just carried your recycling bin back up.
I've no
Scared
idea.
the life out of me.
I've no idea. I've got nice neighbours. Maybe it's a... Oh, it is. It's my nice neighbour. Anyway, right. This is a live show. These things happen. All right. So what was I saying?
We're talking about the books and everything else
So,
we've been doing.
you know, I honestly think, you know, I think when you're on a TV show or a show like this one, or when you write something, if it's the truth and it's from the heart, I think people aren't stupid. They know the truth resonates, and you know, those people who are, let's say, fakes. You can get away with only so much, and then all of a sudden people start to realize, you know, what's going on. You know, so I've always had a huge following. I've been very grateful for it, and I think it's because no matter what, and no matter how much it hurts, or no matter how much I don't like to, I do try to be honest when I'm dealing with people. Right, let's have some more questions. Michelle, you're being a very nosy neighbour. You keep
I
looking
am
out the
today.
window. I'm not a nosy neighbour. I don't
It's
care
because I
what
keep
my
hearing
neighbours
stuff,
do.
and it's
Oh, okay.
that's what's triggering is I'm
Oh,
hearing different
okay.
things over here.
It's bin day today, which is, anyway.
It's balmy. It's balmy.
Yes,
Uh,
freezing.
Dean says he hopes I get to go to lunch too.
Yes.
Come on.
Dean, would you think that I would leave her out? If I could, I would.
You
But
wouldn't.
but she's insisting. So there you have it. No, I would never leave her out. Next question.
Chris has a question.
Yes, come on, Chris.
It says, does Greg Eagle have any perspective that he can share about Alzheimer's disease? Is it a spiritual choice to check out, or a physical reaction to something in our environment, or something else?
I think it's sort of all of the above in so many ways. I know that I have these moments where I literally go off, and I'm so busy dealing with someone in the next world that I don't even hear a question, or I forget what I'm supposed to be talking about. People might say that's Alzheimer's. They might say that I'm, we don't like to call it Alzheimer's. We like to call it old timers. We all have those memory blocks, but Chris, I think it's way too big a question to ask. Maybe it's one for our Everything is Attitude show, because I think it is. Every one of us, I think, experiences those memory losses.
Mhm.
You sort of start saying something and then you blink and you've forgotten what you've said, or you've forgotten what you're talking about. And it's got nothing to do with the memory loss necessarily. It's just that we all have those moments where we just, we're distracted by other things, or you just have that block. So we'll talk about that, I think, maybe on an Everything is Attitude show. Maybe we could talk to someone who is experiencing that, or maybe we could talk to someone who knows or has had a great deal to do with it. Maybe someone who had Alzheimer's. Let's move on.
MJ is on.
Hi, MJ.
It says, I've heard that there is a sort of healing place or hospital where people go when they get to the other side if they had a traumatic death, like a drug overdose, a murder, suicide, etc. Is this something?
Yes, there are places, not a place. There are places and people who are there to help us and to guide us. If we pass in a traumatic way and we have difficulty dealing with the way that we passed, or even if we pass in a very natural and easy way, but we've had a difficult life, difficult struggles, we are helped. We are sent to people, or people come to us and they help us, steer us, guide us. They care for us, and they're able to help us through the traumas and the difficulties. They're able to help us to understand why we, when we were on the earth plane, perhaps why we didn't make the most of it, or why we missed things, or they, I often think of my mother, who died a very, very extremely bitter lady, a lot of malice, a lot of bitterness, a lot of spite, and I like to think that her angels were with her and helping her through that, because people don't for no reason become malicious or spiteful or whatever. They have reasons, and many people just can't simply cope with those reasons. I talked to a lady this week who she had a particular loss, and she was, without even realizing it, she was going down that road of bitterness, and she kept saying to me, this isn't me, Rosemary, this isn't like me, this really isn't me. And I pointed out, we all have choices, and if it isn't you, then stop, just stop it. And what I was able to say to her really resonated with her, and it made a difference. But I forgot even what the question is. This is why I've forgotten. I'm having a moment. I'm having one of those.
The healing place on the other side.
So, no matter how we pass, if we have had a traumatic life or difficult life, or if we're struggling with particular issues, or very often if we die in a very traumatic way, There are many, many people in the spirit world who help us and who guide us, and sometimes, yes, we're put in with a group of people. You can call it a hospital or a clinic or whatever it is, but yes, there are those places where people can help and help us to heal. That's a good question. I like that question. Yes, let's go.
Kevin is on,
Morning, Kevin.
and he says, "Aloha, Rosemary from
Aloha.
Kauai."
I know where you are. I might come and find you
he
one of
rubs
these
it in
days.
a little bit, doesn't he?
Yes.
It says, "Have any of your clients received financial investment tips from the spirit world?"
Yes. I will tell you this. Yes, I have two stories. Here you go, Dean. Two stories for you. I had a lady in England whose husband was really very wealthy, a very, very good business. And of course, when he passed, she had all this money, this business, didn't know what to do with it. So when she came to me first and foremost to connect with her husband. And as we were talking, her husband was sort of helping and guiding her financially as well as in other ways. She had an investment advisor who had come to the door and said he could help her and so on and so forth. And she was just about to make a massive, massive investment, huge investment in a particular project. And her husband, he didn't say don't do it, but he said you need to really think carefully about this because from our point of view, it doesn't look so great. So I explained to her, I'm only the conduit here. You do what you feel you want to do. Anyway, she took the advice and did not make the investment. And for the next couple of years, that investment did beautifully, fabulously. And every time she came to see me, which was at least once a year, she'd look at me in the eye and she'd say, maybe I shouldn't have listened because, and then all of a sudden, I think in the beginning of the third year, the whole thing crashed, and everyone who'd put money into that particular thing lost their money. So we were vindicated, but at the same time, it's very, very hard to give advice because my job as a spiritual medium is not to live your life for you. I'm not going to tell you what you should or shouldn't do. I'm going to advise you of the pitfalls. I'm going to advise you maybe of perhaps as a different way, another way. And this lady, in fact, was told, give it a little while. There will be another investment that you can trust in, which also did happen. But I also, and I think it's fairly safe for me to say this now, I shan't mention any names, but this particular person was head of the Morgan Stanley Group. And for those of you who don't know the Morgan Stanley Group, it's a massive banking corporation, Chase Bank, and they've got lots of different banks and private clients and so on and so forth. And this particular man was head of Morgan Stanley in the Far East. I'm also not going to quite say where it was, but anyway, he was in the Far East. And both he and his wife were clients of mine. And every time he had a meeting, he would call me beforehand and he would say, is there anything I need to know? And I would, advise him, just be careful of this or watch that, or if there's an opportunity here or so on and so forth, because those in the spirit world are there to help us and to guide us. And it must have worked because for years and years he would call me before any meeting that he ever had. And I used to laugh to myself and think, I wonder what his people would think if he knew that he was being, that sometimes the world economy might be affected by one little medium sitting there just, giving this help and advice. But in fact, it was very true, and he would always call me, and his first words to me were, okay, I'm going into a meeting, or he would say, we've got something coming up in, next month, or what have you, is there any help and advice that you can give to me? So part of my role is to give that help and advice. However, I'm going to stress, you don't have to take it. I was talking to someone yesterday who wanted help and advice on his children, and he took that advice perfectly. But then he wanted advice on a particular relationship, and he said, and I was laughing because even as I'm giving him advice, I said to him, you do what you like, but this is what's going to come about at some point in the future. And he laughed and he said, well, he said, he said, you always put things in perspective for me, Rosemary. He said, I may not take your advice, or maybe not quite yet, but I know that, maybe in a year's time he's going to come back to me and say, oh boy, should I have listened to you. Now, he did listen to me, but you don't have to take the advice. It's your choice. It is not my job to design your life for you and to tell you where to step and how to step and what to do. So I think there you are, Dean. You've got your stories. I answered that question. We're doing it. We're doing good so far, right?
Yep. Chris said Spotify's another one to add the meditation tapes to.
Sorry,
Spotify.
Oh, thanks, Chris. We'll be talking to you. Don't you worry. So,
We'll see her Saturday.
yeah, we'll see you on Saturday, because Saturday is our test for our
Webinars and conferences.
webinars. We're doing our test run for our webinars. So anyone out there who wants to be involved in webinars, wants to know more about it or whatever, please email me, rosemary@rosemaryaLtea.com, and make sure you say, please put me on the email list, because unless you request it, we will not do it. Joanne, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. Why?
Anything to say? Anything to add? Anything you want to comment on?
No.
You sure? You enjoying yourself?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
I love listening to you.
Sharon?
Yes, I'm really enjoying this. I'm enjoying being here. Usually on the other end on the computer watching it. So
Yeah, you'll have a,
I've actually sat pretty still today.
Sorry?
Compared to what I normally am.
Yeah,
I've sat pretty still
yeah,
today.
she's usually up and down. But yeah, you'll have a whole different perspective now, won't you,
Yes,
when you
I
see
will,
it? Yeah. All right, let's continue with another question. I don't want you thinking that you're sitting there and I've forgotten about you, because I actually
No, I
haven't.
love listening to you.
All right, let's have another question. shall
Randy
we?
says that
Morning, Randy.
that gives me a warm fuzzy feeling inside, and I'm not sure which exactly one he's talking about, but it's probably one of the things we just recently discussed.
What is it, Randy? I want to specifically know, what is it that gives you the warm fuzzy feeling? Because we could give you more of it. If we know what it is, we could give you more of it.
We were speaking of the healing place on the other side.
Oh, great. Oh, good. Well, we can give you certainly more of that. We can talk more about those things another time. Yes.
All
Another
right.
question.
Nettie is on, and she says
Morning,
hello.
Nettie. Hi.
She would like to know, how do you restore faith when faith is broken?
If you're asking the question, then you still have your faith, because if you didn't have faith, you wouldn't even be asking the question, because it would be a moot point. So if you're saying how do you restore faith, you're not asking how do you restore it, you're asking how do you boost it, how do you create more of it, or how can you trust in it, which is a huge question, not for today. But anyone who's saying how do you restore faith already has faith. You might need to boost it, but you already have it. Otherwise, if you had no faith, you wouldn't even be watching this show, because you wouldn't even be interested in anything that I have to say, because no faith means no belief. Moving forward.
Mary would like to know, how often do you see spirits?
Good morning, Mary. Often. But every day. Every day and every way. I will get up in the morning, and sometimes even before I get up in the morning, we'll have a chat. I'm going to tell you this little story because Dean would like to have a story. So
Dean likes the
I'm going to tell you teeny part of this story. I'm not going to tell you the whole story, but Mary, you asked how often do I see people in the spirit world, because I never refer to them as spirits, because they are people in the spirit world in a spiritual form, right? So now, I can remember one morning waking up, and I was sort of fairly early, and I looked at the clock. I was wide awake, but I looked at the clock and I thought, I bet I've got another 10 minutes before I have to get up. You know how that is. We all do that, don't we?
Mhm.
And as I sort of turn to sort of, get under the blankets and have a tiny few more minutes, I quite clearly see this little girl, absolute angel of a girl. She was a tiny, tiny little thing. She had a beautiful little dress, blonde curls. She was gorgeous. She was lovely. And she's standing there with a thumb in her mouth, sort of sucking her thumb like this. And I said, "Hello, who are you?" And she said, she had a lisp. She said, "My mummy's coming today." I said, "Is she really?" I said, "Is she coming to see me?" And she nodded, and she was a little bit shy. She nodded, and I said, "So when your mummy comes, are you going to come as well, and are you going to talk to me so we can tell mummy that you're okay?" And she nods again, and then she says, "Do you have anything to say to me now?" I asked her, and she said, "Tell mummy about the tiger." I said, can you tell me some more?" She said, "No, just tell mum about the tiger." And off she went. So now there's no chance I'm going to go back to sleep. I get up, I get dressed, I come downstairs. I've got 2 ladies waiting for me in my study. Shall I leave it there? I'll leave it there. Because the rest of the story is actually, I think, in The Eagle and the Rose. And it's a fabulous story. We were in England. There's no way there were tigers in England unless you go to the circus or you go to a zoo or something. And we didn't have to do either of those. And I'll just give you this little tidbit. Was it a tiger? Was it something that looked like a tiger? If you're a little 2 or 3 year old, are you looking at something that looks like a tiger but might not be? Next question, Michelle. I'm leaving
I think
it
that's
there.
a good story for Wednesday.
Yes, I might be able to tell you the rest of the story on Wednesday, the little girl and the tiger. But if you do have The Eagle and the Rose, you can go to the section where we do have the stories, and or just look for the story of the little girl and the tiger, because it's, but yeah, do I see people in the spirit world? Yes, all the time. All the time.
Randy wants to know
Especially when
if
they're poking me on the shoulder like your husband will just not leave me alone. Right.
He's been doing it to me too.
Has
so-
he?
Yes.
Of course.
Randy wants to know if you're going to sing a song.
Would you like a song, Randy? 2 days ago, I sang this song, which you've heard me sing before, to a lady. It was very relevant because I'm not going to tell you the whole thing because it's private to her. You don't know who she is anyway, because I'm not going to give her name. But there were twins. And it can be twin girls, it can be twin boys. It's not often when it's a twin girl and boy, because it's much more usual to have the same sex twins. But we began the consultation, and I could hear a little girl giggling in my ear, standing to my right side, singing this song. A little girl and a little boy in an ecstasy of bliss. You've heard me sing this before, right?
Yes.
Said the little girl to the little boy, "Pray give me just one kiss." The girl drew back in great surprise. "You're a stranger, sir," said she, "and I will give you just one kiss when the apples grow on the lilac tree." Do you want the rest of it? The boy was very sad at heart. She was the only one. The girl was quite remorseful at the terrible thing she had done. So, do you liking this song?
I do.
Bright and early on the very next morn, he was quite surprised to see his little sweetheart standing in the garden, tying apples to a lilac tree. Is that cute?
Yeah.
And I sang that
Aw.
song to this lady who had lost twins, a little boy and a little girl. And they were beautiful, golden haired, curly, gorgeous children. Beautiful, beautiful children. And the thing that she was so excited about was, she said to me, "But Rosemary, have they grown?" And I said, "They have. Some children grow and some children do not, but her children were growing and learning and were able to come and sing that song to their mum." Isn't that I keep thinking about that from time to time over the last few days since I've spoken to her, and I keep thinking, oh, how I'm so excited for her that her children were able to make it through and to let her know that they were safe. Next question.
Suzette's on, and she says, "Good morning, all."
Good morning, Suzette.
And she would like to know, Rosemary, how do you feel, or what is your take on assisted suicide in heaven, or any suicide actually?
Assisted suicide in heaven. I don't know what.
Assisted suicide and going to heaven.
Right. All right. Well, first of all, any suicide at all, I know that there are certain religious, I use the word religion carefully because it means something different to everyone. There are certain, excuse me, religious belief systems that believe that, when you take your own life, it's a sin against God and you're therefore damned and you will not be entered into the kingdom of heaven and all that stuff. Never heard such a load of nonsense in my life. I do not mean to disparage those people who believe that. If you believe that and it's your belief, by all means stick to it. But I have spoken to many, many people who have taken their own lives, and they are welcomed by their angels. They are welcomed by their family. Please, please, please understand, when someone takes their own life, it's because they are having issues, emotional, mental.
It's coming back.
Let's see. Let's see.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think. Are we on? I'm sorry about that. It's very windy out here, so it could be that the internet is playing up a little bit. Are we back there?
It looks like we're back now.
Great. So sorry about that. We had a technical hitch there. We sound so technically minded, don't we? But we're not really. So we're talking about suicide. Please, any one of you out there who has had this experience and suffered through the loss of someone in that way, please don't think that they are condemned to wander the universe forever and be lost, because they are not, and I do have absolute evidence of that. Assisted suicide is a whole different thing. I'm not for it, I am not against it. I think that each person makes their own choices. However, this I will say, whether you think that it's your choice or not, you cannot go before it's your time. In your book is written, we all have a book, in your book it is written the day, the time, everything about when you are born. It is also written in the moment, the day, the time, everything about that when you pass into the spirit world. So, we talk about accidents. Well, let's say it's an accident that's been waiting to happen because God has decided that this is your time to go. Many people who take their own lives, I've heard it said 1,000 times, 1,000 times, I heard a voice. I heard God calling me home. You've got no choice then, have you? When God calls us home, we have to go. So it is a subject, it's a difficult subject in a way. It's a complicated subject. We do need more time for it, and maybe this is a topic that we can talk more about on our Everything is Attitude show with Al. Let's go to our next question.
Anna is on.
Hi, Anna.
And she says, "Hi, Rosemary.
Hi,
this
darling.
is my first time live with you.
Yay!
Would you please tell me if my back and leg will ever be healed, and if will be able to go off the pain pills and stop seeing doctors?"
Oh, my sweetheart. All right. What I'm going to suggest you do, my love, is email me and explain to me what the situation is. We will certainly put you in our healing book, and we're going to send healing to you. And we shall send healing to you every day. I'm loath to say I need far more time to look at this situation that we have here. I certainly think you can hope for improvement. How much improvement, I'm not sure, but please email us and tell us what happened and how you're doing, and I can certainly see if I can help you. But we are definitely going to put you in our healing book, my love, and send you healing. My team and I will send you healing. Let's have another question.
We have Dean again.
What? Now what, Dean?
He says, "I think Rosemary's Soul Signs book was formed from a song sung to Rosemary by her children. Does she remember the song?"
I do. I'm not going to sing it. when I was writing my soul signs book, it was sort of complicated in a way because I was learning. Gregor was teaching me things that I didn't know, and I was sort of learning through him and writing down the things that I was learning. And when we came to looking at the different types of soul sign that there were, and there are 13 soul signs, by the way. We're not talking about astrology now, we're not talking about the astrological signs, we're talking about soul signs, soul groups, how our soul, each individual soul is created, and in what type of energy and what pocket of energy that soul is created. But as we were talking about likening souls to different types of daffodils, likening our souls to different flowers, and so on, I did have a group of children who gave us verses, who gave me verses that I could use in the book. So if you want to know more about that, Dean, I know you've got soul signs. If anybody wants to know more about that, you'll find that in my book, Soul Signs. And if you can't find it, email us and we'll show you exactly how you can find it. Email us rosemary@rosemaryaltea.com. Any more questions, Michelle? We're getting close to time.
It looks like we're quieted back down.
We're quieted back down. All right then. So let me remind you again, we have our Everything is Attitude show tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Sharon and Joanne will be our guests, talking about attitude and how we can help ourselves. And I know that Sharon has you have a couple of stories to tell us about how you, were able to, with a good attitude, and I'm going to ask you how you found that good attitude tonight, how you were able to deal with the loss of your husband. Joanne, I know that you have some things to tell us. So we're going to be discussing that tonight, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, and you will find it on Facebook.
On Rosemary Altea's healing book. I can't
So
speak
on my
to that.
healing Facebook page. So you'll find that. However, we do then upload or download, or whichever way we go, I'm never quite sure. It will be then on YouTube. Once we finish, we then put it straight up, or pretty soon afterwards we put it up to YouTube. If you want to see any more of those shows, just please go to YouTube, write in my name, Rosemary Altea, and you can find me. I'm all over the place, actually. We are going to be doing, when we have time and a breath, we are going to be doing some more cooking shows as well. So wait for those. All right, so
I have ideas, Dean. I have ideas.
so all right, so where are we? So if you want to know more about my books, again, email me. If you want to be on the mailing list, you have to request to be put on the mailing list, so please do that. And if you want to know more about consultations, please, everything you want to know about, put it in the subject line so Michelle finds it easier and easier to deal with. If you want to know more about our online conferences, what are we calling them?
Webinars.
I can never get it. Webinars.
Just call it
and that sort of
conferences.
thing. Anyway,
It's fine.
we are testing it out on Saturday with a few friends, and then we're going to be planning some webinars. So if you want to know more about that, again, put it in the subject line, please. And and we'll let you know. You will not be inundated with emails. I think it will be, you'll get no more than 4 or 5 a month.
Yeah. Make
So
sure you're on our email list.
make sure you're on our email list, rosemary@rosemaryaltea.com. That is ROSEMARY @rosemaryaltea.com. So that's it for today. I'd like to thank Joanne for
Thank
being
you.
here
Thank
with
you.
us. I'd like to thank Sharon.
Thank
It's
you.
been great having you both. Either of you want to make any comments or anything you'd quickly like to say?
Just briefly, I'd like to tell everybody to do yourself a favor and purchase A Walk in the Clouds, because
Oh,
it is a wonderful book
Thank you.
and there's some wonderful stories in there, and I think everybody will benefit by reading it.
I think you were one of our winners, weren't
Yes,
you?
I was.
Yes, Sharon was one of our winners in Allah's competition.
The
It's,
superstitions competition.
Yes.
oh, the superstitions competition, yes, with the thumbs thing, right?
Yes.
Yes, so A Walk in the Clouds, we gave Joanne one this morning because you've not read it yet, right?
Not yet, but Sharon did share a story with me last night. She was
About the
reading
Earth
to me.
Angel.
About the Earth Angel.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, I love that story.
Me too.
Anyway, there are some great stories in it, so it's called A Walk in the Clouds. Thank you for that plug. Joanne, do you want to say anything at all?
No, I just thank you for having me here, and I really love listening to you.
Well, good. We're going to really love lunch too, aren't we?
Yes.
And Joanne and I are going to become best buddies at some point because she only lives around the corner. How
That's
nice
right.
is that? All right. So thank you. Thank you to both of you.
Thank
you
you.
to your husband for interfering.
He'll always do that.
Just so you know, everyone is blowing kisses. And I just got one on the face. And now how nice is that? Woo.
He's a jokester. He's funny.
Yeah, he really is. Let's move on. We're not going to give him too much time
No.
now. I would like to thank, of course, Michelle, and I would very much like to, last but by absolutely no means least, I'd like to thank Grable for his time and energy here today. And again, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, everything is Attitude with Al Pisano. That's tonight. It's Thursday. We keep changing it around, but we hope you're keeping up with us. And again, you can find all of my shows on YouTube. Even if we don't do them on YouTube, we upload them to YouTube. But if you want to join us live tonight, you have to go to my Rosemary Altea Healing page. And we shall be back next Wednesday for our Healing Hands Around the World, for our healing show next Wednesday afternoon at 1:30. Again, 1:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And until then, until we see you again, please, please, please have a very, very blessed rest of the day. And please have a fabulous and a wonderful and a positive and a joyful weekend. We're now going to trip off and have a really nice lunch
Yes.
and more talking.
Yes.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.